Hey guys, it's ReinCoasterAddict here, and today I'm going to be talking about how my first visit to Cedar Point was one of the worst park trips I have ever taken in my life. And just a quick disclaimer before this video starts, I have no disrespect towards Cedar Fair, Cedar Point, or anything regarding that park. It is my favorite park that I've ever been to, and I have nothing bad to say about it. It wasn't the park's fault at all of why this trip ended so poorly, but yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the story. So let's start the video on October 19th, 2018. Almost a year ago, or about a year ago today actually. Today is the 21st of October of 2019. So yeah, we started waking up at 7 in the morning. We immediately hit the road. As you guys know, I do live in Virginia, so Cedar Point was a 9.5-hour drive, and we immediately got on the road. It took a long time to get there. We were stuck in traffic for like hours upon end. There was so much rain, so much fog, a lot of wind. So our 4 o'clock arrival time ended up not being until about 5:30 in the afternoon. We wanted to go to the park for a lot longer that night, but we got to our hotel. We stayed on one of the hotels that Cedar Point owned. So we went right to the park for the last few hours that they were open that night. We got into the park, and we already knew it was going to be super crowded. And as soon as we got there, it started raining. So we got into the park, went right to Raptor, because that had actually a 30-minute wait, which wasn't too bad for that ride. And we waited in line for that. We got pretty decently far into the line. We got into the station, then here comes the first bad part. The ride broke down, did not open up again for the rest of the night. So we got out of the line of that. We just went right through the station, right through the exit. And then we went to Valraven, which was their B&M dive coaster. We wanted to do that instead of Raptor, because the Raptor was not going to open that night. We got in line, realized it was a 2.5-hour wait. Got in line for that, and we waited in line 2.5 hours for one of the worst B&M dive coasters, and it wasn't that great. Valraven is one of my least favorite roller coasters that I've ever ridden by B&M. Not one of my worst favorites of all time, but by B&M, it's definitely on the bottom tier. So after that experience, we rode in the back row, it was all right. But after that experience, we were like, if we're gonna come back tomorrow, which we had 2 days, we were gonna come back that Saturday. We were like, okay, if it's gonna be this bad tomorrow, we're gonna get Fastlane Plus. So that's exactly what we did. The next morning, we went in at about 9 a.m. Early entry started, and we got to be part of the early entry because we stayed in that hotel that was owned by Cedar Point. We got right into the park. We went right to Steel Vengeance after we got our Fastlane Pluses, not knowing that during early entry you cannot use Fastlane. So we got to the entrance, they told us that you can't use Fastlane, and we were like, okay, that's just great. So we'll wait here for another hour, watching the ride go, and I was like just shaking because I wanted to get on the ride so bad. And it was like 45 degrees outside that day too, so it was very cold. So finally, when that time hit, we got right on. We were the first people to get Fastlane, first people to get in the Fastlane line. And we got assigned the middle row. I did not care. I just wanted to ride. We rode Steel Vengeance, and that ride is absolutely incredible. It's still my number one today. And then right after that, we just decided to go right to Maverick because it was right there. Maverick was fantastic as always. That's a great ride too. Then we decided to go to Magnum. Got right on Magnum. Surprisingly, Magnum was a station wait regardless. But we got on Magnum, and that was like the worst ride I've had on Magnum. The last time I visited there, I rode it twice, and I actually really enjoyed it. But Magnum that time, that was not fun at all. I rode in the supposed magic seat, car 1, row 3. Didn't enjoy it that much. So then after that, we saw that Top Thrill Dragster was running. This is where it gets so bad. We got in line for Top Thrill Dragster. We got Fastlane Plus, so we got to go right into the station. We were next in line to get on the ride. And true dragster fashion, it breaks down. So what do? We go right to Corkscrew. Did Corkscrew. Corkscrew sucked because it's horrible. And then as soon as we got off of Corkscrew, we saw Top Thrill Dragster was running again. So we went back in line for Top Thrill Dragster, got into the train this time. Second row, not front, not back, just the second row, because why not? And it broke down again. When we were sitting in the train, then we had to get off again. And then we waited it out that time. We waited the breakdown out. We wanted it to open up. I wanted to ride it so bad. Finally, after waiting 40 minutes, we got back in the train, checked our restraints, gave us the all clear. Are you guys ready to ride? Then as soon as they said that, it started pouring rain. And if you guys don't know, you cannot ride Top Flow Dragster in the rain. Any type of precipitation, actually. Just cause. It just closes in the rain. And we had to get off. We never got to ride that. Oh my god, I still think about it to this day, dude. Oh my god. So we were like, what now? It was pouring rain. We didn't know what to do. So we just went to the front of the park and got in line for gatekeeper while we waited for the storm to pass, or the rain. It wasn't thunderstorming, it was just raining. But then when we got in line for gatekeeper, for some reason it started hailing. It was at least this big too, hail. And it was not fun. We were standing in line for gatekeeper and it wasn't really that great, just having hail being pelted down onto us. But after the rain cleared up, they did a few test runs. We got on gatekeeper in the very back row, which was pretty good. It's not the best coaster there, but it's still a good ride. Then after that, we were like, okay, what now? And then somehow all the storm clouds passed away. It got sunny outside again. We went to do Rougarou, which is their B&M stand-up to floorless conversion coaster. We did Rougarou twice because I don't know why, but everything else was still shut down. We wanted to do Millennium Force, but that was closed. I guess it was too cold or too windy or something. We did Rougarou twice. That is okay. Rougarou is all right. And then we went back to Valraven for who knows why. We got in line for Valraven. We got on the train again once we got into the station. We got onto the train, and then as soon as that happened, we got hit by a huge gust of wind. Huge gust of wind. It was super strong. I almost fell over. It was crazy. And then the ride-ups were like, close down the ride, close down, it's too windy, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon I looked at my weather app and it said there was a wind advisory, so we had to get off that ride. What else is new? That day was just horrible. We got off that ride, we went somewhere. We went to a restaurant or something, just sat down, hoping that stuff would reopen, that it would pass by. And it got sunny outside again. After, when we were in line for Valraven, it was cloudy, it was cold, and then it got sunny outside, but it was still so windy. They couldn't open anything because it was just so windy. We got to that restaurant. We sat down for an hour. Then we just decided to go and wait by Still Vengeance. We waited by Still Vengeance for almost an hour and a half, hoping that it would open. But no, they didn't even send one test run in any kind of any of that time period. And it was not that windy. By that time, it was not that windy. It was a slight breeze. Oh yeah, it's at the top of the train, top of the ride where it's that bad. And if it was barely even windy at the bottom, I could only imagine. So after that, we just decided to say screw it. But we started walking back. By the time it was already pitch black outside, it was dark. And we were walking back to the entrance to the park. And as we were walking back, we saw Top Flow Dragster test run. And my dad and I looked at each other with our eyes super wide and bolted for the entrance, hoping that it would open. It wasn't open, it was testing. And then we waited at the entrance. There was 5 or 10 people there just waiting to get on, waiting to get in line. We waited there for about 10 minutes. They sent another test run and it rolled back, and then they closed the ride, said they were closed for the night. So we left the park, and that was the end of our trip. It was not the best trip I've ever had in my life. It was probably one of the worst. But I'm really happy we got on Maverick and Still Vengeance, because those are one of my 2 favorite roller coasters that I've ever been on. With Still Vengeance being my number 1, Maverick being my number 5. Yeah. But yeah, like that trip was fun, but it just didn't end out like well at all. We should have planned a better day to go. I wish we did, but if we planned to go on that Sunday, it wouldn't have worked out anyways because Steel Vengeance was down that entire day. So yeah. So this is gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my story about my first ever visit to Cedar Point. If you guys did, please click the like button down below and subscribe if you guys are new. And I will see you guys in the next video.